Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday, 13th. It's the day before we leave for Oahu. Last night I managed to pack most of my stuff up for the trip. Packing for Hawaii is a lot easier than it is packing for places like Michigan or Northern California or Georgia or Washington, D.C. And so it's primarily just when you fly to Oahu, like the high is 74 or 84, 85. Low is 74, 75. It never gets in between those two temperatures. And until you've actually been there, you understand what that means. And that means, like, you're not going to be wearing cotton shirts most of the time. At least for me, it was primarily just flip-flops, cargo shorts, and swimming trunks, and dry fit shirts and sleeveless shirts. And that's, for packing, that's just, I pack a lot of underwear. I just really like the Under Armour underwear, and I wear those all the time. And I do, so I go through maybe 3 pairs a day of underwear. That's one of my missions. I wear a pair for night. I wear a pair of cotton when I get home, boxer briefs, and then when I go to work, it's a pair of just normal boxer briefs. And then for when I work out, I wear compression shorts a lot for that, for when I run and things, and bike and push-ups and all the other workouts that I do. I normally do those. So 3 pairs of underwear a day. That's only because I'm not going to be like breaking a huge sweat out during lunch and then keeping the same pair of underwear on all day. That's just gross. So I shower and everything and get cleaned up and then put the same pair of underwear I had back on. So I do pack a lot of underwear. That's my admission. It's kind of embarrassing, but I do that. I'm packing a few pairs of socks, primarily just for running. I want to do a lot of running in Hawaii in the morning and stuff, and kind of running around, seeing the islands and seeing how many miles I can get in before everyone else gets up. And also try to do at least, I want to do, my girl and I were talking about doing a hike of the Stairway to Heaven, I think it was, where it's just, it's a former, a former railroad that went up the mountain. We're going to do that. I think everybody in the island does that hike. And then there's a couple of others that go through some valleys and some volcanoes. So that would be cool. I want to do 2 hikes. That'd be kind of ideal to do 2 of them. Now the trip, exactly when we're taking off, my girl did a great job. Mom did a great job of preparing traveling kits for our daughter. She did a great job, fantastic job of getting like a care package for going there and coming back. She put it full of stickers, coloring books, those little those coloring books that she puts just like water in, and the pen just goes over the paper and it turns it a different color, and then it dries up and she can use it again, so it doesn't make any marks. And some crayons and I think colored pencils and things, and just a lot of activities like those little wooden blocks that have holes in them, and you just pull the string through them and make little things like necklaces out of it and stuff. She did a really great job putting that together. I never would have thought about that. I would have thought about just, maybe some coloring books, and downloading like YouTube videos and Amazon Prime videos and maybe some Netflix movies for her, and that's it, and let her, play with my iPad. But Mom did a great job of throwing everything together. So my hat's off to you, honey. You did a great job. That was really good thinking. And just really enjoying doing that. And the primary goal for the flight there and the flight back is to keep her occupied, Sierra, and to keep people from having their flights ruined because of she's whining and griping and making a scene and everything like that. That is always a parent's worry on a flight. But at the same time, I don't care. She's under 2 years old and she's going on a flight. And I was thinking about this, and I think I mentioned this before, that by the time that I was around 30 years old, I had maybe been to a few locations. I flew to San Diego once with my grandmother. I flew to Michigan with my family to go to my grandfather's funeral. I had flown to DC in college to see my buddy. Flown to South Dakota for my friend's wedding, and I've flown to LA to see my brother. And so that's maybe 4 or 5 flights by the time I was like 30. And so and our daughter's been on 6 different flights. Not just flights, but actually trip destinations. She's been to Hawaii, this will be twice. She's been to California, I think 4 times. And so that right there, that's 6. That's more flights than I've been on. And she's also been to Arizona. She's been to, I think that's it. So she's been on 6 or 7 flights already, and she's not even 2. And it just kind of shows that that my parents growing up, it was rough. We didn't have money, and especially in a household of divorced parents, you don't get much of an opportunity to travel, especially when both of your parents are struggling to make it by and really pinching their pennies. I didn't have a pair of Nikes until I got out of high school. Even my cleats were knockoff brand in high school. My basketball shoes I had a pair of Reebok Shacks, and I played in those big bulky things, which might explain why I didn't make the basketball team. But we just never really had money. And we have enough, and we planned ahead enough to provide for us and our daughter. So we had enough to set aside money to travel here and there, and to make a goal of having her at least see a lot of things and generates a lot of memories by traveling that I never got when I was growing up. And so, by our savings plan, it's going to have to go up a little bit more, because now we're going to have to start paying for her when she turns 2. But she's traveled a lot, and so she can look back all these photos of all these trips we've had and say, I've been here twice, I've seen my great grandmother more than once. I met my great grandmother maybe once or twice before she passed away, and my family never really took us on trips. I went to Mexico too when I was 22, but that was by default. Someone else couldn't make it for a very serious reason, and so the airline agreed to allow me to go. And this was, so that was sort of by default. I wouldn't have been the first choice. I had to go because tickets already paid for. We just had to transfer the name because somebody couldn't go. And so I kind of went by default, but still I went, and it was fun. Yeah, so it's just, she's been on more flights than I had up at that point. And it's, in my childhood, like I said, when I was under the age of 18, I went on probably 1 or 2 flights. Maybe, I think it's 1, just to San Diego, because my grandmother took me there, and go to Disneyland. And I think all the other times that we did travel, it was all driving. We drove to Michigan, we drove to California, we drove all around. We did a lot of driving, a lot of road trips. And so we weren't necessarily untraveled and unexperienced in the world of getting to know other parts of the world. It was more along the lines of we just drove everywhere. We drove to the beach a lot. We drove to camping spots a lot. And so flying on a plane was never really my family's forte. It was never their thing that they really did. They didn't really travel a lot to keep up with their family, where I'm different. I want my daughter to see her family, to know what it's like to go around and spend time with people you love and care about in different locations other than their home. Having you guys go to a mutual location. Like I said, I had a lot of long road trips. We drove to Michigan once, and then we drove before our daughter was born. We drove to Lake Tahoe, and so that was probably the longest I drove. Well, no, I drove to LA once too. So I've done a lot of driving myself, but flights, that was one of the things that it wasn't easy to come by as a kid. And she's been traveling so much as she has now that when we do have to finally start paying for it, we'll have enough just to maybe go on one big trip a year, which is sort of the goal. We set aside this money, we don't really look at it or even pay attention to it until it's time to come. And now it's gotten to the point where it's so much money, it's just cool. And we have this there, and we have it there to travel and to see the world and things like that. So, but I might be doing one video tomorrow, maybe when we get there, to Oahu, or I might just do one in the morning really quick before we leave. But I will be out in Oahu traveling in Hawaii and seeing things. But the weather here is it's nice. We're gonna have a lot of rain coming up next week, which is awesome, especially for the wildfires. We need to get those put out, and allow the trees to start growing back again, and just keeping this area and keeping this Pacific Northwest and state green, because that's what I love about it. And I'm looking forward to coming back. I want to do a lot more fall hiking, lower elevation stuff, and just keep myself traveling as much as possible and seeing all the hikes and trails and mountains and areas that I didn't get a chance to see this summer. And the thing is, with having a kid and a full-time job and a relationship, you have to focus your time to do your things. You have to make time for it. And so I want to do more times where I take days off in the middle of the week to go plan hikes and go on hikes myself, and then come back at the end of the day and, you know, everything's good to go. So I've maxed out my vacation too, so I need to start taking some of those days off. So that's a positive, definitely, but it's something to look forward to. I want to get on the trails a lot more. So if I don't talk to you guys before the next video, you know where I'll be. You guys enjoy yourselves. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. I will see you when I get back.